What's happening, everyone? Are your bodies ready for this one? We have Mad Gains Mindset today. This is probably one of my favorite stream styles, my stream topics is talking about mindset, the most underrated thing in crypto by far. Like everyone wants to hear when's PulseCHAIN launching, the imminence of imminent. Uh, it's none of that matters unless you understand how to make good decisions, cultivate good judgment, figure out how to cultivate peace in your life and not be bothered by the small things and enjoy all the moments that really add up to something better for you in your life. Yeah, you don't want to get rich and then lose everything along the way, lose your integrity, lose your friends, lose your family. And that's something that I try myself to just take the best ideas I can from all the different disciplines, all the people all I can listen to. A lot of people have heard me talk about Naval. Super good for that. Of course, Richard, it's a wealth of knowledge in the area too. Alex Ramosi is another person who just really knows how to get the most out of things, how to become the best version of yourself. And it's just so hard to do that if you're not constant, if you're not actively like trying to get better. It's one of those lifelong learning type of things that I really enjoy and that I've been focused on since my health, wealth, happiness. There we go. Health, wealth, happiness journey the last few years, which couldn't coincide better with my crypto journey, which kind of kicked off in the middle of my crypto journey. So today we got graphics on the show. Cryptographics is in the house. One of the few people I feel comfortable talking about a lot of this stuff with, like Jake, Maxim on the show. I've had Maxim on the first Mad Gains Mindset. And then I had, of course I do Wealth Mindset with Jake and Maxim. Us three, I think it's a super good combination. And with this series, I think I'm almost stealing the winner circle from graphics a little bit. I like how he's like taking, different people and doing these type of interviews with. So I thought, okay, I'll probably stick Wealth Mindset with Jake and Maxim for now, but maybe I'll kind of turn the Mad Gains Mindset into this series where I don't know how many other people I'll have on or when I'll have them on, but every once in a while when I feel like, hey, I want to have a conversation about people that I riff well with and able to really dig in and understand the different components of, the wealth mindset, the Mad Gains mindset, the ability to be successful in whatever vertical based on these principles that you use and really get the most out of. That's what I like to dig into. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And of course, it's going to relate to PulseChain and crypto. And yeah, I think you'll get something out of it, especially if you haven't seen the ones before. If you have, you probably already know what you're going to get. But if you haven't seen Wealth Mindset or the Mad Gains Mindset with Maxim, the first one, then it may be a treat for you. We're going to certainly try to make it that way. I think the topics we have and the stuff we're going to talk about is going to be relevant, especially around launch time. And yeah, I think it'll be fun. I always like to have these engaging conversations where I think even the people on stream learn things themselves. So without further ado, welcome to the show. Cryptographics. What's happening, man?
What's happening, brother? Thanks for putting me on again. It's always great to be back.
Of course. I think you have earned a spot to come on anytime you want. You're one of those guys. You're in that crew. It's an elite crew.
Man. Right back at you, bro.
Of course. Yeah, I think again, you're one of the few people that on stream and off stream. You came to visit and all that stuff too. And I hope to hang out with you one day, in your neighborhood or otherwise. But yeah, you're one of the few people that I think really just kind of I like to dig into stuff more than crypto in a way that's not, I think there's a connection here. There's a way you can talk about these philosophy and spiritual and this type of stuff in context to help people achieve what they're trying to do. And a lot of people that watch us are trying to achieve, wealth, health, happiness, and crypto and in their own lives. So I think turning that into something people are interested in and we can talk about it within context is very important and unique. And I don't see a lot of people doing it. They're not getting the clicks. We may not hit 50 people today. I don't care. I think it's useful for me and for you and for everyone on Replay Gang to kind of understand what we're thinking and how we try to improve ourselves and put ourselves in the best position to win. And that's what I want these kind of streams to be about.
Yeah, and they are always great, and they're kind of like we were talking in the back room, how evergreen content, and these are kind of both evergreen content and also milestones because these conversations, like you're just saying, like they're never always completely right, and we always learn something as we go. Like these are a lot of dialogues and discussions, which are so much fun. And so it's like a milestone of like where we are, or like a almost like a time capsule, but it's available to see at any point, because it's like you can see where we were at a given moment in time, and we are learning from it and see how we progress too. So it's cool to be able to reflect on these conversations, and just, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, man.
Yeah. And that's, that's, maybe we'll kick it off with that. I want to frame today's conversation around sort of what we did with Maxim last time, which was this question that I keep going back to. I think it's so important that, again, nobody is trying to figure out. I feel like I'm one of the few people who want to dig into this and really understand both sides, so it can become helpful. The answer can become this thing that people use to win more, and to avoid losing, if nothing else. So, like, I guess the theme is getting rich in crypto and why you probably won't. Like that is the hard truth. That is the tough truth. That is literally what happens every single cycle. People come into crypto, or they've been here for a while, even they miss a cycle, they get in too late, they sell too early, all of these different things. And throughout the conversation, we'll kind of dig into each one. I got a few different points that I think are good to talk about as well. But just framing it, everyone listening right now, just in your mind, just think about, or have you even thought about, maybe that's a question for the chat too, have you thought about how you're going to avoid losing? Like, I think that's even more important than making the right decisions, is avoiding making the wrong ones. And again, we'll get into all the different ways you can mess up and make all these mistakes. But I think if you don't know how to avoid making the mistakes, how are you going to stop yourself from making them? Like, if you don't know what they are and how to not do them, and beyond just the stake it till you make it, beyond like just the things, the themes, which I think are important and meaningful, and we repeat for a reason. But I really want people to dig deep and see, what do you really want? What do you want? What are you willing to give up to get it? And that's why I think the framing around this of, you got to assume, if you're not making the choices that are going to be the winning plays, if you're not out there hustling, studying, and really trying to see what is the wrong choice, and staying far away from that as much as you can within your own financial ability and your time and resources, why wouldn't you be like everyone else? Why wouldn't you be in the 99% if you're not trying to be in that 1% of people who make it and retire early and become wealthy and all that stuff? So what matters, Graphics, what matters most to you right now? Like in this time period, we're coming up to PulseCHAIN launch. I know hopefully in a month, 2 months, 3 months, we're going to be laughing about how much time and effort we spent worrying or not about this. I wake up every day and I'm like, hey, PulseCHAIN didn't launch. I'm still at peace. It's still fine. But for you, what are you worried about right now? Like your health, your wealth, your happiness. Like, what areas are you trying to figure out how to cultivate peace the most in, and how to avoid these types of mistakes?
Yeah, that's a great question. The thing that I'm focused on most right now is, put it simply, it's like understanding myself deeply, and trying to come to a place where it's like understanding. It's like, okay, when it comes to the talk about like, oh, 10,000x, woo, everyone's gonna be rich and cars and whatever, right? Well, it's like, okay, well, why do I want this car? Why do I want a certain lifestyle? Why do I have these thoughts about wanting this thing? Or why? I'm questioning like where all these internal dialogues are coming from. Because for me, when things work out to whatever degree they work out in some form of success, whether it's small or large, because that's the way I do see this. I do see success happening when PulseChain launches. I just don't know what scale it is, so for me, what I'm doing now is I'm really trying to understand that and make it so that when this does happen, I'm ready and I understand, is this thing that I really want, now that I have whatever amount of money that can get me, even if it's like I can go and I can, instead of buying one Cliff Bar, I can buy a box of Cliff Bars. Why do I want that? And is there another way that I can get that same thing without putting myself in a hard position? And also looking at patterns and really just, like I said, trying to get to know myself deeply. And it's hard, to know yourself, because like you were alluding to, a lot of it comes down to being able to look at your patterns, your habits, your behaviors, your thoughts, and your actions, um, what makes you you, and assessing that constantly. I think that's the biggest thing that you were alluding to, and being able to do that is what separates. And I'm not the person here who's made $100 million. I'm not the person who's made $100 billion. But you listen to people that have made significant amount of wealth, or you listen to people that have made massive progress. There's a constant theme of self-assessment and looking, okay, is this the right move? And being able to look at that objectively, not judge yourself for it, because that doesn't help anything when you're judging yourself. If you're just looking at yourself in a negative light, thinking, oh, I suck, oh, I shouldn't do that, well, you're just holding yourself down. It's for me, and this is what I'm doing. I'm looking at things as though, like, okay, what is it I'm doing on a day-to-day basis that I need to change? Or what are my thoughts? What are these things going on? And how do I change them? What do I need to do? And where are these coming from? So that's the big thing that I'm shifting with right now. Because I know as let's say things go really, really well, I want to be at a point where there's no amount of money, there's no people, there's no change in environment that can shift my values and the way I act, and to be in integrity as close to day-to-day, minute-by-minute, moment-to-moment as I possibly can. And I'm probably I can definitely say I am not there yet, but that's where I'm at right now. So I'm trying to get there. I think that's part of the conversation.
Do you, because I think the self-assessment is super important. I think there can be a balance there too. And some people go overboard. Like, if you're at a certain point, I guess I'm trying to turn this into a question, is like, do you just accept certain things? Like at a certain point, it's like, okay, I know that this is not the ideal way of doing it, but this is how I'm comfortable. This is, you kind of got to like give up something to get something more, prioritize the ROI of type of stuff. Do you see yourself accepting certain behaviors or activities or just deficiencies where you're like, I'm never going to be the best at this, but maybe I can be the best at this? And, kind of, how do you balance not beating yourself up, I guess, too? Because I think that's a critical part of judgment.
For sure. And that's a great point too, because if you are constantly leaving everything on the table with equal amount of priority in terms of like how much awareness you're placing on it, how much focus you're placing on it, where you're gonna get lost in the sauce, and that happens no matter what. I think no matter what you're trying to do, is if you look at everything under the same critical scope with the same weight that you're holding or giving to everything, I think you're gonna get a little bit lost. But to answer your question, I like to constantly ask why, but only give it importance if it seems like now is the time to ask that question and to go deeper on it. And so I keep everything on the table. And a lot of things, what I'll do, like, I will defer them. I'll keep them in my peripheral, but I'll leave them there and notice them and allow them to be in my awareness. So that way I'm still like, okay, I can see these things. I can see these patterns. I can see these thoughts. I can see these actions. But like right now, it's like, for me, I'm coming to this office every single day. I am just focusing on being consistent and being disciplined. And a lot of the smaller things on day to day, I'm aware that they're happening to the degree that I'm aware of whatever it is. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that I can become aware of, like all of us, that I'm currently have blind spots to. But all the things that aren't major, I'm definitely allowing them to just run their course. And I'd love to hear from you. Like, what do you like in this sense? What do you do when you have, and how do you like constantly assess? Do you have lots on your table? And what do you do for the question you're asking me as well? What would your answer be as well?
Yeah, I think the one of the best things I've found, I've tried to do, is definitely prioritize things and weight them in certain ways. There's so many little things that it's not even roll off your back. It's like it's almost like an acknowledgement, but acceptance, like immediate acknowledgement. That's okay. If this doesn't work out, it's raining today. Now we can't go outside. We can't go, travel to somewhere that we need it to be good weather. That's cool. We can do something else. That kind of ability to, I think I've been so good at harnessing that. And I look around me and I see other people not doing that at all. So it gives more emphasis for me. It gives me like, oh, am I just like, how am I doing this? Because there's so many things that I could take seriously. And actually that's a good point. Like Namal Ravikant, another quote is like, something around like, it's easier to get peace if you stop taking yourself so seriously. Like the amount you take yourself seriously is like, you're going to maybe get offended, but somebody says something or doesn't acknowledge you, or, does something to you or doesn't do something. There's always some reason for friction to exist if you allow it, if you believe it should. So that's something I've talked about with friends and family a lot too, is when I see someone, struggling or they get upset really easily or frustrated, I'm just like, but it doesn't matter. Like I almost don't want to start with it doesn't matter, because then I feel like you're attacking their belief of it does matter. But I try to break it down of like, how does this affect you? Like, why does this affect you? Like, why is it affecting you right now? Because you had some expectation. It kind of goes back to the whole ecosystem thing of like, everyone wanted PulseChain launch right now. You have expectations that are not being met. You should not do that based on everything the founder said a million times. So again, waking up every day, hasn't launched yet, whatever, it's cool. Like another day. If you believe in the mission, if you believe it's really going to happen, it's not all just this joke and all that stuff. And, if you truly believe that, you shouldn't have a problem waiting. And it doesn't matter how many times you get disappointed and how many times, Richard or somebody else says something that seems like it's close, but it's not yet. That doesn't matter. It only matters if you believe it matters. So the trick is like believing it doesn't matter. Believing most things don't matter very much, and only focusing on the things that do. And then once you have that prioritized list, once you put the proper weight to the things that do matter, you can focus, you can cultivate peace more, you can not lose it when something happens. Even if you're stressed and stuff, you're going to get a lot less baggage and a lot less weight on your shoulders if you just consider things that matter and things that don't, and only pay attention to the former category. So that's how I deal with that. And it's acceptance too. It's like, you can change it. What is it like? You can change it. You can forget it or accept it. It's like, you got to be able to not get stuck in these things. Like, I think that's again, one of the things I've been able to improve myself with so much over the last few years, is not getting stuck in the mud of this thing didn't happen and now I must be upset over it. Like, literally people have wronged me before. And I'm like, first of all, do I care what they think? I try to only care what people think of, like, certain people I respect or who matter in some other way. But if you're a random Twitter person and you say something weird to me, that's just weird. That's not frustrating for me. And I mean, hopefully you don't do it every day and all this stuff, knock on wood, but it's like, you really got to weight those type of things. And so if you can't change, and it goes back to, I keep quoting this over when we have these type of conversations, is it knowable and important? For me to pay attention to it, it needs to be both knowable and important. So if it's knowable but not important, why do I care? If it's not knowable but important, well, I can't get the data on it, so why am I focused on it? So again, launch, you can apply this all different directions, but I've found peace in accepting that things happen. Everything happens for a reason. And if you you could say these things, you can say them over and over, you can say them every night as affirmation. But until you truly believe that you're on a mission, you're destined for something, you can manifest whatever you manifest in the world is gonna, you manifest good things, it's gonna happen. If you think of bad things, it's just a reflection. The world reflects back what you put out. Unless you truly believe these things, they don't matter. You can say them, but your heart knows the difference. So that's how I've been able to just accept things, go on, reduce my own stress, cultivate peace, and just make a lot of decisions with a clearer mind, because I'm not worried about all these other things. Now, of course, things bother me from time to time, but it's a lot less than it would be had I not been able to hone that ability. So that's helped me a lot recently.
100%. I think you hit the nail on the head with so much of that, and the expectation part. And that's something I've been battling in my own life, just with people in my life and my own expectations of myself. And it's funny when you look at why you're angry about something, or why something's frustrated you, or something's caused you to feel a certain way in a negative state. You're so right. The expectation that's there is almost always some sort of the cause, some form of cause of it, and then you know, you can look at why the expectation's there for one, and you can go deep with it, or you can just look at, oh, okay, I had an expectation, and you can just let it go. You know, you don't have to get into that, but expectations are the silent killer, man. Like you hit the nail on the head, and they're everywhere. We like you said, with people with PulseCHAIN, and I think, you know, what you're saying about, is it noble and is it important? You know, you're not having expectations when you go that route, but I think it's important to have also, depending on what what you need. You know, I think for myself, at least, I do have some sort of expectations, but not of myself. And they're not really expectations, because I think it's great to have, because I think you can easily get confused with knowing where you're going, and knowing in the sense of like, when your actions and when your actions match your goals and your expectations of yourself, you know, when they're more so towards the goals, right? Then I think they become reasonable, because you're not expecting you to get a lottery ticket, scratch it, and win, right? You're not having some kind of expectation without putting in work. You're putting the expectation on that to happen, because you know you are putting X, Y, and Z in every single day. And you know that, okay, maybe it's not this thing, but I expect at some point, if I keep at it with this amount of focus and gain that edge in this field, at some point, I'm going to make the right decision, you know, and maybe I'll make the wrong one consistently, but I'm not expecting each decision to be right, but I'm expecting to eventually get there, because I'm going to stick to it. You know, I think that's the balance of like learning what expectation and where that's coming from, you know?
Pick your expectations wisely. I love the way you framed it, because I was going to make a point too, that the biggest thing I've seen, again, I dig into friends, you know, I'm upset, someone else is upset, whatever it is. I'm like, just like you ask yourself, why is this? And there's a bunch of different techniques for that too. But the expectation that nothing will happen that won't be what you want, you can apply that to anything. Like, that's going to make you frustrated. It's going to make you upset. You're driving down the street and you keep hitting every red light, and you get frustrated because, gosh, you know, I keep hitting every red light. It's like, did you expect to never hit all those red lights? Shouldn't you assume that at some point you're going to get into this red light madness type thing? So I guess when stuff like that happens to me, that's another technique I use, is like, you know, whatever red light, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that happens sometimes. That makes sense. The world is supposed to give me a bunch of red lights at some point. Like, and then immediately, like, I feel the relief. Like, I use that so much, and it's so helpful. And when you dig in it and you ask someone why they're frustrated, somebody said something nasty to them, whatever. Did you expect no one on the internet to say anything nasty to you ever? Is that a reasonable expectation? Probably not. So if you expect it to happen, you don't have to like keep it on your mind and think about it. But if it happens, and then you ask yourself, is that a reasonable thing that could happen that I should be prepared for or otherwise? And if the answer is yes, which most of the time it is, then that kind of frustration usually dissipates. And that's been super helpful for me. The expectation part, managing those. It's why is it so hard for everyone to do? We'll hit on that point. I always see that question, and then the chat keeps blowing up with PulseChain crap. So we're going to look at that in a moment. But why is it so hard for people to manage expectations? Like, well, have you struggled with it, or how did you figure out how to do it better?
100%. I mean, I still do. Like, we're all human. I still struggle with expectations from time to time. Like, I have periods that are sometimes long and sometimes short where I feel like I'm really just on it. And then all of a sudden, boom, I get a break. And next thing you know, like, I have expectations everywhere. And what's really cool about this conversation is kind of actually connecting a couple dots for me here that I've been trying to think about or trying to understand for a while. And, you know, expectation seems like it comes from a place of a belief or something in your subconscious that has a hole in it, in the terms of it's not, you aren't connected to it. There's a disconnect between you, or fragmentation in this part of your psyche or this part of you, where you need this thing and you expect to get it. You need it from the outside world. And when you have this expectation on it, it's like, you can't fulfill that yourself. So you expect the external world to provide it for you, you know, and that I don't know if that's everywhere, but like for me, I'm thinking about that. I'm like, man, I could see that in a lot of different expectations that I've had, where it's like, I expect this person to do this, or someone that's close to me to do this. And like, the more I expect of them, it's like the closer they are to something that I have to heal in terms of like being solid in who I am, and not needing anything from anyone. You know, the more you need something because you have a lack of something within you, the more you can expect something, is what I'm kind of almost picking up from this. And I'd love to hear what you think about that.
What do you think about labeling as an artificial need? It is a created need of, I love when you talked about need there. It is, that's why you get frustrated, because you need it to be the way that you want it to be. And it's not about like, I don't know, like I guess there's certain people who are just spoiled and undisciplined, and maybe they got everything their entire lives. And I want to kind of put that to the side for a moment. Just the average person who is just, you know, someone who's just in life, just doing different stuff. I think they create this artificial need, and it is like, I need to have, but then you ask why, right? Why do you need the lights never to be red? All right, like, does it matter if you get to where you're going 5 minutes later? And usually the answer is no. So if you create that, maybe that's the key. Avoid creating artificial needs. And that's maybe the key to limiting your expectations.
And even learn to spot them.
Spot them and question them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. Like, is this something I need to do? Like, is this worth losing my peace over? I ask myself that too. Is whatever I'm about to get mad over, is it worth losing my peace? Like, is it going to help me to get frustrated? Like, sometimes frustration, anger, you know, we have them for a reason. They're not, I wouldn't call them a defect. I think they can be, you know, extreme examples can be defects, but they're here because, you know, our ancestors, we need to scare away animals, we need to scare away other humans who are trying to harm us. These emotions help us survive. And even in the modern world, you know, we don't need them as much, obviously, because civilization and law and order and all that stuff. But your ability to recognize what is worth being angry at and frustrated over, and what is helpful to kind of release that emotion and then use it in a way, either directly or either actively or passively, you know, either with the other person, be careful with that, or passively with yourself, of just being angry and just thinking, why did this happen? And then maybe you come up with a plan to avoid it in the future. Not saying you need to calculate every single time. It can just be, you know, I do this thing where it's like, sometimes you just want to vent, right? You just want someone to listen to you versus help you solve a problem. Mm-hmm. And you kind of get in that spot with your friends and family. And it's like, sometimes I just want to tell you what's on my mind and just get it and clear the air and maybe see what you think. But I don't want you to solve the problem for me. I just want to express it. But sometimes I say it and then I need help. I don't know how to deal with this. I need help. I need you to help me solve the problem. So managing those. And then again, picking when anger is useful, when frustration is useful. And the artificial need. I think there's so much artificial deadlines. It really, here's what frustrates me too. I have this, when there's an artificial deadline or something. So, you know, if maybe a friend or family member, we got to be there at a certain time, and they get frustrated because we don't leave at a certain time. It's like, if it's a doctor's appointment, an airplane, like flight, whatever, I get it. But I think we can do plus or minus a few minutes, 15 minutes or something. If it's just something where, like, what effect is there going to be? What effect, if we're not there at 4:15, what's going to happen? Probably nothing. And if there is something, we miss part of blah, 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 then it's, you know, what was I doing before? Is it worth me rushing to get out the door? And then you could say, oh, okay, well, I need to plan better, or I need to make sure I'm ready beforehand. But it's like, if you're going to spend time doing that, make sure it's worth it. And to me, most things aren't worth setting. That's why I don't only set deadlines. I try to set dead ranges, time frames, time ranges. I try to, you know, like, oh, we're going to leave and go somewhere. Maybe we'll do 4:30. I'm never going to be like, I'm going to be there at 4:15, because again, that just puts stress and pressure and expectation of people with you, or the people, you know, there. You don't want to leave the friend hanging at the, you know, at the bar or wherever. But at the same time, if you're just going down the street to go to the park, you know, why does it matter? It doesn't make you look less credible because you left, you know, plus or minus 15 minutes. So that's like a personal anecdote as well, that I think expectations play a role in.
Yeah. Sorry, I definitely was getting distracted with the 7 days things going on in the chat here.
Oh God.
Not gonna lie. But
sure.
What you're saying though is really important, because, you know, we don't have the time, like you said, we don't have to get frustrated. We don't have these things. We allow them to have potency and to affect us, you know, and to make our days more difficult, honestly. But you know, it's also okay to be frustrated. It's also completely fine in a moment if you're frustrated for some reason, if you're feeling something about a situation and it gets to you, it's like, whatever, like just let it out, express it. And then after you're done, after it's gone, you know, however you need to express it, then look at it, be like, okay, why did that happen? Why did I get so mad about that? You know, why did that happen? You know, because the last thing you want to do as well is like hold these things in, you know, holding in any emotion over time and suppressing it, bad idea, very bad idea, in my opinion. And you want to let these things out. I mean, in a healthy way, obviously, but not suppressing it and then not judging it either, not thinking it's bad because you got frustrated or to getting mad at yourself. You know, just like, it is what it is, man. Just like let it out, look at it, assess it, and figure out how to move forward from there in a positive way. And one of the teacher that I have, or one of my teachers, gave me an exercise, which I actually probably haven't done enough, but I have put it to use over the last few weeks since learning it. And I recommend this for anyone that is getting frustrated or stressed and like having problems getting the solutions and focusing on the problem. Be like, oh God, like this happened to me. And I'll explain why this happened and why I needed this lesson, why I searched for it. So I was really struggling to feel the need to constantly feel like, how do I put this? Prioritize the problem and not the solution to the problem, because the problem seems so important that it was like, let's for example, let's just use a financial problem. Cause like if you need money, you don't really care how you get it at the end of the day. It's just like, if you need money to pay your bills, right? You're like, okay, I need to focus on just getting the money and not how it's done. But of course it's backwards, right? You're thinking in a stressed state. And what happens to me, and I wonder if this resonates with anyone else. What I was instructed to do was when I notice that I'm getting frustrated, what happens is my breathing gets shallow and the oxygen stops going to my brain properly. And over time, over a course of minutes and an hour, all of a sudden my brain's not working properly. And then I can't focus on solutions anymore. So what I was given was take a moment when you notice and then breathe deeply. Do what's called equalized breathing. Just like if you're breathing for 3 seconds in, breathe for 3 seconds out. Just breathe in, breathe out. And as you oxygenate your body after about however long you think you need, then just start writing solutions to the problem. Just start writing. And that's going to get your mind right. And that's going to get you start to look in the right direction instead of focus on the problem. Because the problem is the problem, whether you look at it or not. You know it. You're aware that it's there. You're aware that you're trying to solve it. So why focus on the problem instead of the solution when you're already there, right?
Dude, that's I think the breathing is a great technique. Taking a walk, removing yourself like from the environment or the situation, or getting fresh air in general if it happens to be good weather or otherwise. Writing it down, I feel like that's helpful. Write it down. If you can't think, if it's hard to think, I think writing helps you focus, first of all, because you're doing a task that you know requires focus. So writing it down, and afterwards, if you want to throw it away, rip it up. Cool. Maybe that's what do you call it? Cathartic as well.
Something like that.
Therapeutic. Yeah, one of those. So all these techniques basically I think they help you either distract, improve. So improve your breathing, to improve your thinking, to improve distract, improve, or I would say acknowledge / accept. So acknowledge what happened and either accept it or, think about it. But think about it in an environment that's not going to keep you bottled up. Like you said, like get the breathing good, go for a walk, whatever you need to do. So if I don't pull this up, people are going to start thuning real hard. Okay. So
I'm
going to share the screen, everyone. Don't worry. I just want to finish the expectations deal, because I think that it's been the best part so far. Best part so far, other than PulseCHAIN launching within 7 days. Now, can we actually believe this guy? That's the question. He's been wrong so many times. Can we believe Richard Hart, Mr. Nintendo? Does he really work for Nintendo? Come on. Anyone can buy that shirt.
I don't know, man. It's kind of sus.
Oh, this guy. Well, I don't know. I kind of like it and don't like it. My first reaction is, God, you've been wrong so many times and so many bad estimates. And now You're estimating again, sir. You're estimating again within 7 days. One of my favorite people in the world, but I prefer less estimations. However, are you going to ask me, did I want this to be made public or not? Hell yes. I would like to prep myself the next 7 days. Thankfully, I only have to stream for 7 more days, and then it's over. We're all going to the island.
Exactly. And we're
It's
out.
great. It's out. I told people, if I ever disappear one day, hopefully it's not because I died. Hopefully it's because I've made it so hard that I bought that island that we all want. And maybe I've invited a select few of you.
The old Max will have died, and the new Max will have been born.
The new Max who only wears a tank and swim trunks on the beach on his Hexaco Island number 7.
Exactly.
That's one of the ones you can get land rights to in Richard's Kingdom. That's where we're going, isn't it? That's the mission, I think, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Am I reading this correctly? PulseX and PulseCHAIN.com mainnet, not testnet v5. No more testnet v5 are estimated to launch publicly. No private mainnet launch. I'm glad he spelled that out in less than 7 days. Less than 7 days. So 6 days, 23 hours is what we're looking at right now. What happens if it doesn't launch in 7 days? Cryptographics.
Well, Twitter explodes for one.
Hex price explodes as well. You think implodes?
Well, you know what? I'm honestly a little shocked about this tweet. I mean, I'm shocked and not shocked all at the same time, because I thought no more warnings meant no more warnings, and this is a pretty definitive warning. But I mean, at the same time, hey, for publicity's sake and for generating hype, man, I'm all about it, obviously. But I'm a little confused, you know. It wouldn't shock me if, like, okay, if he's saying 7 days, you know, he's not saying mid-May, he's not saying a vague, rough time span. You know, he's specifically saying 7 days. And
very shocking.
When you're saying something like that, you better know that it's probably going to launch sooner than that, and say 7, so that way you give yourself breathing room, is my thoughts. And so I would not be shocked if we saw mainnet before Saturday. I mean, 7 days is 7 days. Could be wrong, but it wouldn't shock me, honestly, that it comes out like boom right now, or like for the next 2 days.
Yeah, I think 7 days is definitely breathing room. It definitely, when I read that, I'm like, so yeah, I think no predictions, but Saturday is a fine day. Saturday is, you know, I could see, like, you know, think if we put ourselves in the mind of a billionaire genius, within 7 days, he's like, all right, guys, I'm really bad at estimates. We got like 2 days to go. That's what, you know, the team, what do they call it? The JV, not the JV, the varsity. Is that still a thing, by the way? The red team, blue team, varsity team, JV? I don't know. The varsity team says, our most trusted dev, Brett says 2 days privately, maybe. Again, pure speculation here. And Richard's like, all right, I'm terrible at estimates. Let's say 7 days. Brett says 2 days, maybe. And then if there's any weird bugs, then it'll be like 4 days. And then you guys cannot make me look like a liar again. Totally not blaming anyone here at dev team. That totally didn't get thrown under the bus before that I remember. But 7 days will get people excited. And yeah, man, I think Saturday was Friday night. You want to be sleeping this weekend? I don't think anyone's going to be sleeping for once it gets to be Saturday, everyone's going to be like, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. We're going to be nonstop. I'm not going to be leaving this office space for a while, I don't think. I'm going to be here for a while still. Oh my God, I got a lot to do.
What color Lambo? What are you going for?
I'm actually a McLaren guy.
All right.
I'm a McLaren guy. Although, hey, you know what? I'd take a Huracan and then put an Evo, like the Evo race kit on it, and throw a supercharger or a twin turbo kit on it, and I'd be pretty happy with that. If we're talking Lamborghini.
Okay. I haven't thought about it, probably because I don't plan on buying a fancy car with my riches. But I don't know. I don't think I'd do a Lambo. I think I'd probably go McLaren, or I don't know. Teslas are cool. That they seem, you know, they don't pay for gas anymore. That's the only thing about the gas guzzlers. It's like sports cars are cool. I don't know. There's a lot of options.
But it's the experience, though. It's not about it's like if you get in an electric car, it's like a go-kart without sound. It just kind of moves
They're
and you
pretty
get pulled
fast,
around.
though. I might have
Well, they're
test drove
quick.
a couple. They're pretty fast.
Yeah, that's true. They're quick, but like the sound and the feeling of an engine and the sound of a turbo going at the end of a pull, the full visceral feel of it, man. I don't know. I don't think you could ever sell me on electric cars personally. I'm just so sold on the gas.
I mean, I rode motorcycles, and yeah, I'm
nice.
with you. I love the bang bang engines.
Yep.
You got me thinking about what's the movie with Nicolas Cage in it where they steal the cars?
Oh man,
that's such a good movie. You got me thinking about that though. When the scene with Angelina Jolie, when they're the stick shift scene and all that. Gone in 60 seconds. Boom. Gone in 60 seconds.
Haven't heard it. I haven't seen it.
Oh my god.
I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
Dude, you know
Thank
what
you,
you're
Daniel
watching
Kim.
tonight. What you're watching tonight.
Okay, you have 60 seconds.
A hackers movie version of Angelina Jolie is back in it, and Nicolas Cage when he was a great actor. So
gone in 59.5 seconds.
Gone in 369 seconds.
On that note too, though, because we're talking about Mad Gains mindset too. This is something that I actually have been thinking about because like I love cars. I have been a huge car fanatic. Like back in the day, if you watched my vlog that I did a long time ago about like go-karting and cars and stuff, talking about my old Subaru that I had. I've rebuilt engines. I've been a car nut since I was like a little kid. And I've actually thought about, okay, if there's two facets that I've been thinking about with the whole car thing. It's like, okay, one, how can I get what I want, and not tie myself down? And at what point is it reasonable to tie myself down? If we're taking both paths here. And this is kind of my thought process. And I'm sure there's more nuanced and a more based on the line of thinking. There's probably specific strategies that are better than the ones I'm going to talk about, but this is just my limited knowledge and what I'm thinking about at least. Sure. So with the McLaren, let's say I got a used one. That's like 400 grand, 400 or 500 grand Canadian. And that's a lot of money. And plus if the maintenance per year, if you break one of the top windows on a 720S, it's like 40 grand to replace that. Oil changes are in the thousands of dollars, right? That's a huge investment for something that if you make one mistake, it's a write-off. It's not worth anything. Who knows what's going to happen to the market? It's potentially a massive liability unless you get like a one-off version of it and the globe wants that one version and it appreciates the value. Not likely to happen, right? So what I've been thinking about is like, okay, how can I get that without spending that money? Well, I could just rent it on a weekend that I want it. I could go to a racetrack and I could rent that car and get everything out of it as much as I want, and enjoy. Because let's say that the reason I'm saying this is because crypto's gone very well for the first year for me, right? And I'm willing to spend a little bit of money to go and experience that, but that's not tying me down 6 figures, almost $500,000. Like that's reckless, especially considering like I haven't learned, how to preserve, or I haven't shown myself, even if I know how to, I haven't shown myself that I know how to hold on to that level of wealth through the volatility of years. That's just come for me, right? In this environment. So, or in this case. So it's like after a number of years where I have proven to myself that, okay, I can not only achieve this level, but I can hold it and grow it in a volatile environment over a number of years. Then maybe at that point, it's like, okay, you know what? I think if I have enough wealth where it's like, oh, that's not a big number, then sure. If I've proven to myself that, yeah, I can adequately grow and hold that amount and keep it no matter what the market's doing, no matter what my external environment's doing, then maybe that makes sense. But, and I'm kind of using this for cars, but like, this is what I've been thinking about for all of the facets of, maybe things that I want when it comes to if stuff goes really well. It's like, how can I get what I want without wrecking myself long-term and taking away from the golden goose? Why I really don't want to do that. If I think I got a golden goose, I want to take as few feathers from the golden goose, or as few of the eggs as possible.
Dude, I'm totally with you. I think I think the last time I talked about Lambo was leasing it. Like, yeah, I'll lease it maybe for a few days or a week or renting it. But the investment of a car like that is just, unless, again, maybe PulseCHAIN hits a penny. I think we're all doing good enough to get that Lambo, and at least, forget the depreciation, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think again, taking it back to Matt Gaines' mindset, if the first thing you're going to do is go out and buy something expensive, whether it's Lambo or some house at the, I don't want to say top of the market, but that's not financial advice, but I don't think a lot of people tell you it's the best time to, I don't know, if you're paying cash, I guess a lot of it's around the mortgage, getting a mortgage and the interest rate. So if you're paying cash, well, then you got to be like, okay, so why are you paying cash? Don't you think, all the stuff that goes with that. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, great book, read that. But it's
fantastic book.
It really is. It's it really converting yourself from the I can't afford it to how can I afford it mindset. You got to be careful with it, but I think it helps you think much more deeply about such purchases. I wanted
100%.
to. Oh yeah, I was gonna do something for a quick minute. I did want to ask you about this. Far Out Aliens, great point. I don't know if you know Far Out Aliens, but Aliens is an IE instead of EI. If that's your thing, totally cool. Just wanted to point that out. Don't think I ever said that before. He launches today. It goes live in 7 days. Do you think that within 7 days means like, is it launching bridge, pre-bridge? Like, is there any nuance you can think of that channeling yourself in Richard's shoes and Dev's shoes? Like, is what does this mean? Does this mean like 7 days, soup to nuts, everything's live, like, and with a bridge, or does that mean like we're getting MAINNET off the ground, ratio trading within 7 days? Like, what do you think that means?
I think that we're still going to get the ratio trade. He's specifically mentioned numerous times that there's going to be a period where people can go in and they can swap things around at zero value. So I'm pretty convinced at this point. I mean, look, anything can happen. I would be shocked if that wasn't the case. And all of a sudden we just got a MAINNET post bridge. Like, it almost wouldn't quite make sense to me with everything that's gone on, but I don't know. I can't imagine is my final answer. I think I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's going to be, oh man. So
what do you think?
Okay, well, I think he's talking about the network is live overall. But there's so many different factors. Like when you're trying to talk about, that's the hard thing about talking about speculating on what Richard is thinking is, I mean, aside the fact that he's super smart, besides that, it's like, we don't know what kind of, I like to imagine there's a war room with a whiteboard and he's got all these plans and all these if-else statements and all these, like kind of like a fine-grained, finely tuned, we're going to make this the best thing that ever happened in crypto. That's what I like to imagine. So when you're trying to, every day I see people, oh, Richard's obviously timing the launch and stuff like that. First of all, so what if he is? So what if he is timing it? What if he's been timing it for a year? If he's been timing it for 2 weeks? What does it matter? Like, what does it matter if he's timing it? Don't you want the best appreciating asset ever exists, the best launch ever, the biggest thing that happened in crypto, all that stuff. So like every time somebody, I'm just using an example, not that there's any like good points to riff on that. It's just like when you're trying to guess what he's thinking, I imagine there's like a matrix. I'm almost thinking about like a matrix of all these decisions, and he's already got the best ones on his mind. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I mean, I think you can look back in the last couple of years, and I'm sure even himself, if he were like, I don't know, humble Richard now, maybe he'll talk about it. Hard to say. He'll probably say, oh yeah, that could have been done better or whatever. But in general, for the things that matter, for the things that we are here for and care about, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So if you're questioning whether he's doing this or doing that, and you don't like this or you don't like that, for me, what I think when he does something or says something or whatever it is, and I don't get it, or I think, how's he going to handle that? I always think maybe it's a deficiency on me. Maybe I shouldn't be the one. Maybe I'm not the one like to like really start questioning the game theory of the guy who has been more successful than me in all these different verticals. And I'm just saying that to everyone out there who's like struggling to understand the plan and who's been waiting forever and all that stuff. That's the way I interpret it, is like, you can't even start to guess what's going to happen. And, we can speculate all we want, but even this statement within 7 days is like, there's probably 50 different things he has on the list to make sure this thing goes off without a hitch. And we probably can't even guess 10% of them.
That's, I think, bang on. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, basically, I think you actually, yeah, you nailed it. Nice. You nailed it.
Yeah. I was just updating the video title as well. Mainnet in 7 days, because I did not expect to talk about that as well.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. It really is. And I think though, like, I guess one thing I could say to your point is like, you're probably more bang on than we ever even know. Like the amount of, like, this dude's been around for so long. He's witnessed the growth of Bitcoin. He's witnessed the growth of Ethereum. He adopted Bitcoin, then he adopted Ethereum. Then he created something like Hex. And there is so much, like, think about how much, for example, everyone in chat can do this, and you can do this too, Max, is think about how much you know and how much you know. And then think about how much of that you display to the world. Fractions of what the world knows you know is what you talk about. And so I am sure that Richard has, exactly like you said, like a bajillion different things he's calculating and looking at and assessing and thinking about and going over. And there's a checklist for sure, but he's got the best things, that these best plans, I'm sure, that none of us can think of, because he's got the devs that he's working with. He's got his own ideas of what should happen. And he understands this stuff better than pretty much anyone that I've ever heard. So, I mean, I agree 100% with your sentiment.
But, and it's not to say that he's flawless. It's not to say that every single thing that happens during PulseChain launch is going to be, as intended or successful. And I'm sure there'll be some things that, and that's why I'm so excited 6 months afterwards to look at all the stats, look at everything we thought was going to happen. Did it actually happen? Why didn't it happen? Or why did it happen? Or did it exceed expectations? Mm-hmm. But it just means that the guy running things is the most qualified. And again, if you're out there doubting, oh, it's never going to launch, 7 days, it's going to be 7 more days afterwards. It's I just don't think, I think it just shows the conviction or the lack of conviction, and it shows you don't believe. And I wanted to ask you about this in a minute too, because I know, I talked about before, I think with you too, it's about being mission driven. I'm very mission driven. So that helps me like not even entertain the type of doubt that I see on crypto Twitter and otherwise a lot of times too. However, I wanted to ask too, mid-May is on the 15th. Everyone, just want to remind everyone that I did call mid-May like for a long time ago. I've been saying mid-May for a long time, and I was not joking.
Has it been a year though? Has it been a year?
I guess that would be the best thing. If it's been a year, I guess you could really be like, guys, I guess last year, if I was saying like, he means 2023, he means 2023. And then I kept saying that, I guess that would be like, I need a trophy for that one. So you don't have to give me a trophy, anyone. However, for the last couple of months, you're welcome. I've been saying that, and
it's pretty good.
I'm not celebrating early, am I? If he says 7 more days, I think, oh God, see, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there.
We're not going there. We're not going there.
This is the first time he has said a number of days, correct?
Yes, I'm pretty sure this is the only time
that I remember. I've never seen him be precise. I mean, precise as in estimated within 7 days, but like, it's always been like, has mid-May, has that been the previous estimation? Like, has he gave another like specific day or month before? I don't remember one.
No.
Other than the stream, him being like, oh, I think the first time he talked about it was like, 2 months, 6 months or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something along those lines. No resolution, but like mid-May and now 7 days from now. Pretty accurate.
That's pretty awesome, man. I'm stoked. This is sick.
That's what I was going to ask too. Yeah. I think on this point, one more before we move on. What is this, now that we know this, what does this help us do? Like, what decisions that we didn't know how to make before? Even yourself, you're like, oh, I don't know if I just knew within a window when it was going to launch, I would do this. What's on your mind?
Ooh, let me think about that for a moment. If I knew that it was going to launch within this window, man, I think I have to really think about that one. That's not an easy one. I don't have anything off the cuff that comes up with what I would do, because I've really been, at least for myself, if I had known that it was coming this soon, I mean, for me, I probably would have been more on it with the content, honestly, and more dedicated to this, because I definitely had a lull where I kind of gave up hope. And it wasn't just necessarily because of PulseChain or anything like that, or any of the cryptos that we talk about going down, anything in this ecosystem, but it was just a combination of everything. It was like, I felt that a lot of things weren't necessarily winning in my favor, and I kind of half gave up on the content creation for a bit. And I really wish that, let's say I knew that this was coming up, man, I wish I had you and everyone else that I've had or wanted to have on my channel over the last number of months consistently on, having conversations and like, going deep and really digging into this stuff, because I feel I've really learned. I mean, I've learned a lot over the past, like, since I started this, but I think there's been an acceleration, over the past few months as I have changed my commitment to this and really tried to insert myself deeper into content creating and being cryptographics. So it'd be a personal thing, really, and just committing to that more and getting more education out, which, I mean, you can always say you could have done more, but I think that would be the biggest thing I've done. Because when it comes to strategy, when it comes to thought process, expectations, all that stuff, I mean, everything has stayed pretty much similar for me. And I don't think timeline would have necessarily changed too much for me, honestly, in that sense.
Sir, the question was, are you buying or selling Hex right now?
Right now? Oh, God.
Actually, speaking of that,
depends who's asking.
Yeah. Everyone listening, I'm sure you didn't expect me or him both to tell you our next moves now that we have a timeline. I think we'll keep them a little bit closer to our chest. However, it's always nice to see Hex not going down. Not going
nice
down
big
right
green
now.
Candle.
Yep.
I'm glad you're sharing your screen, not my screen, because I have a nice drawing that doesn't look good for,
Oh, were you graphics like I was, later tonight I was going to do a stream about how I thought Hex was going to keep going down until PulseCHAIN. You know what? I'm going to cancel that one. I'm going to, the facts have changed. The facts have changed.
The facts have changed. I need to delete very quickly here.
Yeah. No, I think so. I tweeted earlier. We talked about this, your stream on the INC token, and you did a live and AMA and talked about a lot of different things there. And you really, I love that you talked about the Hex price. It wasn't with this hopium thing of like, I think presenting both sides, the two camps of a lot of people think, got to get their copies, Hex to the moon, that part, there's the whole camp for that. And the other camp is like Hex going down, eHex, like, why would you buy it right now? Saving dry powder for PulseCHAIN and all that. Those two camps, there's a lot of people on both sides of that. And, I think it's really good to understand both of those cases and why they think the way they do, because that helps you formulate your own decision and your own, what you believe and decisions you're going to make in the next 7 days, sounds like. So I don't, just tying this back into mindset a little bit, the type of emotional response that comes from those two competing sides and people not wanting to hear the other one, it never makes sense to me anymore. I think I've just been out of that for so long. I've been out of that. I want the objective stuff. I want the facts, and I want to decide for myself. But there's so much emotions and negativity that comes from you're saying something that goes against what I think, or you're saying something that fuds my bags. That phrase gets thrown around all the time. I just want to have a conversation where we can talk about what's going on, and if it's two sides that have some merit, let's talk about them. That's not FUD. That's just having a conversation, an open conversation about something. And then you could say, oh, let's go advance and say, oh, but people listen to what you say. They're going to, if you talk about something now, you're going to make it become true because everyone's going to start doing it. So we just always, is everyone just out there just have a narrative? Like we can't have an objective conversation because somebody might do something based on something that we talked about, that they have this ideal now. Now they're, it's like, what kind of rabbit hole are we going down? Like, let's just have a conversation, and then people are going to do what they're going to do. It just, do you think it ties into money? People are literally like, if somebody says something and they naturally want to say you're flooding my bags because they want to sell at a certain point. They want the other side to work because that's what they're planning for. Is it the money maximalism stuff? Like what, their toxic form of it, I guess. How do you reason about that?
Yeah, I think there could be a few different things. The first thing that was coming to me was like, why are you like, it's the first thing I try and think about for that is like, okay, well, why would someone scream FUD? Like, why are you so sensitive, or well, I don't want to say sensitive, maybe the appropriate word, but why does having the other side of the argument, possible other side of reality, something that you're not expecting, or that doesn't go in your favor, why does that trigger something that makes you speak like that? Because I think it's super, like, the more you can look, like you've said, at something on both sides of the equation, you're going to be able to make a better decision. It's going to define it better for you. And at least even understanding, let's say you're looking at this and for whatever reason, it makes 100% sense for you that hex goes down. You know what? You might actually be able to still make yourself understand that, okay, well, if it goes down, I'm expecting this. Like, I kind of can see why it would do that, but I still think maybe holding it is the best route, because I'm not playing the short-term game. So it doesn't matter to me if it goes down, because I'm playing for a year or two down the road. And when that happens, we're in a different ballpark, like 10,000 feet up in the air, and it doesn't matter what happens in the short term. So whatever, man. But also, I don't know why necessarily. I don't fully understand why. I think it's just, I'd love to hear give me a minute to think about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on why you think people are not wanting to go there.
I think that I think it goes back to maybe so if I were to steelman their point, if I were to steelman, don't talk about things that are against what may be the best interest for me. It is doing things in your best interest. If you want hex to go high, then you're going to be less likely to talk about a potential dump, just logically speaking. So if you've got a bunch of hex, and this goes beyond there's certain healthy ways of doing it. Hey, you got a lot of hex. I'm going to be here for a long time. I got a lot of stakes. I'm going to be promoting it, helping, and stuff like that. However, if you have a lot of hex and maybe you're planning on selling it at a certain point, or you want to try to trade and catch the pump, or whatever it is, you don't want to hear about it may dump. I think that's, and again, this is like still manning it, because it is in your best interest that it doesn't dump. So if other people are talking about it doing that, part of you fears that it may become true because people are getting informed of other things that may happen with it. And I get it, but at the same time, that's just not what, I don't know. Maybe I just don't do things in my best interest a lot of times. Maybe it is part of me, like that objective truth, like wanting to know both sides. And maybe, okay, again, just like, if I were to, would it be better for me to get, okay, that's not you. Most people aren't you. And the herd, affectionately referred to, everyone, the herd needs to not have something to go wreck themselves. Like, I'm trying to, reasons why you wouldn't talk about the narrative that you don't like, or be counter to what you want to happen. You don't want to lead the herd in the other direction. I don't know. I think there's a lot of nuance that goes with, okay, how many people actually listen to you? Do you have 50K followers versus 5K? And then, but at the same time, it just, the part of me is just like, why does it matter? I think people get caught up going for the maximum. I don't know. To me, making the maximum amount of money possible and prioritizing that over everything else seems to, there's a risk of corruption. There's a risk of corrupting and losing and sacrificing other things. And that's, again, the reason I don't monetize the show, the reason, you won't hear me saying things I don't truly believe, or having people on that I don't really, maybe believe are good, or for the ecosystem, or I don't agree with, or, are counter to something. I don't maximize towards that. I don't want to sacrifice everything else. It's the extreme example would be, I don't want to sacrifice my integrity to get all these, the 20,000x, the 50,000x or something. I'm happy with 10,000x, say it like that. I think there's certain things worth not sacrificing, even if it's not in my best interest. I'm not going to say everything that's in my best interest, because I believe other things I hold other values higher. I guess that'd be the best way I could explain it.
I think that's the way to do it. Yeah, the higher, if you have something else that you hold higher value, you're not going to really care about the other side. You know, I think you nailed it. I don't think I could say anything else on that front, man. You killed it.
You asked me to elaborate, and I was like, "Yeah, I can do this. I can do this."
I wasn't expecting the hammer to come down, man. I wanted something to go. You know, you killed it. That was awesome.
You bring it out. You bring it out. I think. See, that's why we don't have these conversations. I think it is hard to, first of all, it gets us both in the mindset of trying to come up with reasonable explanations for different kinds of behavior, ways of thinking about things, and yeah, at the same time, it also reveals our values as well. And it's not about virtue signaling, value signaling, like whatever. It's not about that. By the way, should we be buying Hex right now? It's already went up a lot since we've been here.
It's been going, man.
I keep looking at this chart. I'm like, Anyways,
I know.
See what we're sacrificing right now for our values. See what we're happening right now.
I know. Yeah, we should probably be buying the FOMO though.
I think we should have bought it 10 minutes ago. I feel like
definitely.
It was at 5.9, 6.61, 7.73 now.
Well, okay. Here's a question. If you want to go there, you think this is another buy the rumor, sell the news, or you think we actually kind of keep a momentum here? I don't want to say it's going to go to some price, but do you say we keep momentum, or do you think this is a buy the news, sell, or buy the rumor, sell the news?
I could literally see it both ways. I literally could. Again, not a TA guy, not doing TA. I'm sure the TA guys are like, they know much more than we do right now in this moment. However, just looking at the fundamentally, as you suggested, I don't know. I keep not wanting to believe we're gonna hit 20 cents and stuff. I think at least
a little mini disbelief phase.
Maybe I'm disbelief based right now. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I could see it. I mean, obviously, like I imagine we both didn't expect it to go down after the seven days news. I imagine we're like, oh, okay. People are probably going to get really excited right now, whether they're buying it for a reason or not. They're excited, and people like to hit the buy button when they're excited. So I was like, yeah, it'll probably go up, but will it hit 12 cents again? Will it break that? Will it break the V3 pump? Hopefully they'll do it on stream if it does, because that'll be the second time I've seen a pump on some sort of, I guess the last one was actually launched. This is just by the way, no more warnings. That felt like a warning, wasn't it? Was this not a warning?
That's what I said. Like this is why I'm laughing. I'm like, kind of like, what do you mean 7 days? Like that's a,
only thing to make a
warning, man.
He put in parentheses, not a warning.
Exactly. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
He should have done that just to troll. Just a troll.
That would be funny.
That would have been great.
But anyway, back to your question. I don't know. I don't think.
And the answer doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything good for anyone on that answer. I have nothing but speculation. So
for sure, that's all it is, anyways.
Yeah, like I said, maybe Access Alive will be able to give you the juice. He's been going around and giving juice lately, last few days. So I don't know. I'm excited that the not I want to say euphoria, but the emotions, the strong positive emotions I felt on V3 launch. I've had to temper it a little bit, but I've still been confident in mid-May. As I said, I've been confident that, hey, I'm doing validator streams every day for a reason. Prepare for mainnet. Like that's been happening. So I'm very excited right now. And I think, I don't know, like, is there a point where the training wheels just fall off of like the ecosystem? Like, have we just, I think that's, I was listening to you and Axis today talk about this I believe he mentioned something around the bear has everyone jaded. Like everyone doesn't believe it's going to happen because it's been bad for so long. But once the scaffolding falls off of this rocket ship, the RH ecosystem, is there anything to really hold it back? Like fundamentally, other than like crazy regulation or, at this point, even the macro environment to you, doesn't it feel like the bank's failing? PulseChain launching within 7 days. What other good news do we need? Like, is this a good setup? If Richard timed it, Is this good timing?
Seems like it. It seems like it, but I know a guy, and you know a guy who we're just talking about, who's down in the chat saying, "I'm here. Send me a StreamYard invite." I don't know if you want to get him on, but
Oh, yes. If you're okay
that's
with
what I'm
it,
saying.
he can join Mad Gains.
Yeah,
You like Mad Gains? I like Mad Gains. Let's get him in. Let's do it.
go.
I'm here. All right, I'm headed over. Yeah, take it, and run with it on that question while I'm getting access to stuff.
Yep. Well, I don't know about if the training wheels. I think it's going to be an interesting period. I don't know if it's going to take a few weeks or a month or two. Like, it's everything about what I've expected to happen for the most part. Like, there's been some things where they've been kind of predictable, but a lot of this, the stuff that, the main event type of thing, like with this, where
I'll be right back. By the way, keep talking. I got my headphones in. I'll be right back.
No problem. Like, no one would have thought after Richard Hart's tweet that he's going to put a warning like this, right? So if he's openly said, and now look at this, we're at 8.3 cents. Like, we just spiked from, like, we went to 5.8 today, all the way up to 8.3, like bananas. So he said no more warnings, and then gave this. You couldn't expect that. When someone says something like that, you're not going to expect another warning. So, like, this is out of the blue for me, which is awesome because it's so nice to see price going up, but it's also out of the blue. You couldn't expect that. And there's so many of these little one-off, unforeseen, like unknown coming through that creates a massive impact that I actually don't know what to expect. Really. I don't know if this is us starting to go for a nice run, or if this is by the rumors of the news. And then even if we come down, if this is still just like what we needed, like this is the launch, this is the run, this is the start of the gold rush, or what it is. But I'm learning that it's so hard to predict all these things. There's so much that we can't foresee, like this freaking tweet, that I have a feeling these are going to keep coming. I just have that feeling where they're going to keep coming in. On that notion, it's like, well, if stuff like this, if Richard has stuff like this up his sleeve, and life also has stuff like that up its sleeve, where it's going to constantly toss us things that we're not expecting, then why wouldn't it do something we don't expect, like go up like crazy, or do really well much sooner than we think? Because let's be honest, myself and a lot of others had been thinking prior to right now that, well, I mean, even if you look on my trading view from this morning, every morning I bring up the hex price, and I've been talking about how at this moment in time, nobody knows when MAINNET's going to go live. Richard's not giving any more warnings. Traders don't care anymore because there's nothing they can time. So why would it go up right now? No one knows if the fork's already happened. No, like there's nothing to play. There's no game to play at the moment. And now, though, I mean, this came out of nowhere, right? Like I had painted out a head and shoulders pattern that was forming on my chart. I was like, okay, well, this seems obvious. It's the second time in 6 months a head and shoulders was looking like it wanted to form and then take us down. And then boom, now we got this. I'm not saying that this doesn't lead to something like that. Like, because we could still go down. We could go up a little bit. People could play the game, and then we could come back down because maybe that is in the cards. But it's just what I'm trying to say is, like, these unforeseen things keep happening and are always going to throw a monkey wrench, or seemingly always throw a monkey wrench in what we think is going to happen.
Dude, it's I'm so glad you didn't do that stream with Head and Shoulders.
No, I did. I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I've been doing it every morning for the last week.
So yeah, but I guess the joke is, like, I'm so glad we got the news that has just turned everyone's theory of what's going to happen into, are we sure? Like, it keeps happening, right? Again, you and actually talking about this, like, you would keep getting this information of, like, all these different directions things can go. And then, yeah, like you said, who expected Richard to tweet us and give another warning? Amazing, man. Anyways, Access Live is here.
8 and 10.
Let's go.
No worries. Yeah. You're here. What's up, man?
Brother.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff happening in the liquidity pools right now.
Oh, let's go. What's going on?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so
our bodies are ready.
Let me see. Let me pull this up here. Snap. Okay, yeah. Well, that's first of all, that's a bull flag breakout. With that wick reversal was crazy, and then it took its time getting to the top yellow line, and then once it broke through, like now we're heading straight for 8 cents. So if I pull up the liquidity pools here, there's been new liquidity added between 8 cents and 10 cents effectively. And when there's a big brick of it, it's about 1.4 million hex at 8.5 cents. So I expect a reaction somewhere around 8.5. It can blow through it, and then that can get that hex liquidity can be pulled, and it would turn into USDC, and then it would be pulled off the market. So the kind of range that I'm looking at is 8 to 10 cents here in the next few minutes. Let's see. Yep, chart looks good. On the ETH pair, we had this like clean breakout of this key level here, which was a previous resistance back on February 8th. And then the RSI had a double bottom on this rising trend, and now we've broken the 55 level. So everything's like hyper bullish. Of course, now we have a few days for this trend to continue. Like it doesn't have to stop. So things are looking good in terms of first level of resistance based on what I'm seeing in this particular pool, somewhere around 8 to 10 cents. So that might be the first kind of resistance we see. But it can happen two ways, because when I was looking at the stoplight here, I was actually looking, this was at 90 million hex like an hour and a half ago or 2 hours ago. So now, and then it got trading around 78 million. Well, now all that half of that's already been pulled out of the pool. So there's less than 50 million, which means we're getting really low. You can see the beaker, it's getting super low in terms of hex on market for sale. And as long as people want to squeeze everyone else out of their positions and not sell at this point and wait, for higher prices, then this price can continue to rise on just a scarce asset. Again, this is like basically the same setup we had on the previous run up.
That's sick. And what were you saying? Something was happening in the Hex ETH pool too?
Yeah. Well, so in the 1% pool, this is USDC. There's nothing out here. Let's see, Hex ETH 3% or 1%. Nothing. I think there's absolutely nothing out here. Let's see if this refreshes. Yeah, so nothing out there. And then on the bigger pool, we're in no man's land. So there's nothing out here. These are like 4 ETH per block.
Oh,
so
wow.
What is that? There's just not much there. So the pool I'm looking to key off of here is the USDC 0.3% pool. Mm-hmm. And it looks like somebody set up a block of liquidity here between 8 cents and 9.9 cents. So this is like the new range that we'll try to form some sort of support in as people reaccumulate, sell off, reaccumulate between 8 and 10 cents. Currently, price is sitting at 7.8 cents. It's up 42% in 2 4-hour candles. But yet this is like legitimately, this is like 4 1-hour candles. Let's see here. Switch to the 1 hourly chart. Okay, I'm sorry. So in 1.5 hours, this thing's going up 42%. Let's see here. In terms of volumes, obviously you see here on the bottom, the volume just like shot through the roof. So there was a big sell volume that came in on that original. All right, now we're at 8.1 cents, even less liquidity. Now this is a good opportunity for like big whales to step in and really mess with the chart, because now we're running low on funds in terms of like hex in the pool, so they can play this game of continually creating this squeeze on the chart. So Candace, there's your signal. We got 8 cents.
Wow.
Yeah, things are looking good for hex right now. Obviously, let's see, if we go to DEX tools, it'd be interesting to see if it's running across the top in terms of the most popular tickers right now.
That's wild, man. Didn't see that coming. Did you see that tweet coming at all? That the tweet Richard Hart said about 7 days. Did you see that coming?
If it was a 50-50 chance, whether it was going to be a stealth launch or not, but I guess we should have known better, right? This is the type of stuff that happens when he lets this happen. Now in the past, I don't know if anyone caught Cryptographics and I stream yesterday, or RHMax and Ju Young from 2 days ago, but we kept talking back on this big payday event here. This is kind of how I see this playing out. Now that we have, just in the same way that the price ran up 600% before big payday, I originally thought that, I'm thinking that's what we're setting up to do potentially. Percent-wise, I can't tell you how high, but I thought this might have been the run-up we were going to get. But that was testnet V3. Now we have a launch, a runway into mainnet. So now we can do it again. I'm super pumped to see. That's why I was kind of doing these troll tweets on Twitter. I'm like, yo, let's see it happen, bro. Let's get some Godwell action going, right?
That's so sick.
Dude. It's so just to, why are people buying? Like why are they buying right now?
Think of it as like a stock split, right? So if you take, once the fork happens, if you're sitting on stable coins, you might lose 50% of your value immediately, because those stable coins, in terms of ratio tradability, may only be worth 50 cents on the dollar, 25 cents on the dollar. We don't really know. We can only go off what we know from testnet, which was what they traded at, like half the price of a dollar. So the other option you have is to double your hex bags. You'll have liquidity on that chain early with a p hex, right? That you could then use for optionality in terms of what you want to do. And then you still have your e hex. So then if e hex drops in price by 50% after the fork goes live, you're still doing better, because you still have whatever p hex value is for ratio trading plus 50% of your value in e hex off this new high that we're going to make potentially. Versus still just sitting on a stable coin that's 50% down on the PHEC on the PulseCHAIN side, and then you're waiting for the bridge, so the time element is decaying your purchasing power as people are opportunistically trading ratios before the bridge goes live. So you really, it's a dream here that we're going to get a chance here for people to get, the last bits of the market supply before, it all gets dried up.
Incredible. And on the liquidity side too, I know it's been dropping a lot. Is it? And you touched on that a little bit, but what is it because it drops so much? Is this easier to do, or how does liquidity play into like what's going on right now?
So this little box here says 45.9 million. That's 45 million hex left in all of the pools combined. And that's significant, because anytime that this gets under 50 million is usually when hex goes parabolic. So that's just like a rule of thumb. You get under 30 million and it's really starting to get into like high wick zones. But then you have to also consult like the pools, and what we're seeing in the pools is like where the liquidity is sitting. So in terms of where it's sitting, it's on this particular pair, it's sitting between 8 and 10 cents. And in terms of how much of that 45 million, it's roughly 300,000 per bar. And if I just do some quick math, there's probably like 45 bars here. So what's 45 times 300,000? So that means that, like, what is this, like 13 to 15 million hex sitting here of the 45 million? The rest of it's sitting on these other pools, but it's behind price. It's not, well, no, it's not, because this is all USDC. So it's just the little bits in front here on this pair, all the way going out here. Let's see, hold on. If I rezoom this, so there's a ton of liquidity going all the way out to like 42 cents. If you measure all of this liquidity going out, but it's very thin. So there's 40 million left, but there's about 15 to 20 million sitting here. So this is really all we have to trade, is like a 20 million batch between 8 and 10 cents. You get through that, and people start pulling their liquidity in anticipation of the fork, and there's just not going to be anything. So the price can really run up hard if you get to the north side of this liquidity. From reading this from left to right, right?
The other pool that you saw as well, the other Hex USDC pool, how much was in that pool, and what was the price after it got out of that wall there?
So it's sitting on the edge. It's 7.47. So if I refresh now, it's going to be out of it. Yep. Okay. So now it's out of it. You can see it's down here. Total locked in this pool is 4.2 million. I'm sorry, 3.25 million. But obviously, the majority of that is now USDC and not Hex.
Damn, dude.
I don't know. There's just nothing on that pair. There's just some on this pair. Like I was saying, like 20 million, 15, 20 million here. And the actual numbers, if there's 50 bars here, it's like roughly 15 million. Not including this one bar with 1.4 million. So plus or minus a million. And then this pair, let's see. Nothing in front of price. And then the ETH pair has 22,000 hex per bar. That's not much. So what do you have, a few million here?
Jeez, man.
Yeah. And I think what this is it's the ultimate squeeze, right? Richard loves doing this to people, and this is what happens. This is, you mess with the hex chart, especially going into MAINNET, you're going to get punked, and that's what we're seeing.
The greenest of candles. It's coming true. Prophecy is coming true.
I mean, and like it's crazy because when you look at the daily here, look at that fucker. That's like non-log. So that's the linear chart. Like, this is probably the largest candle we've had going back to the DPEG event. So
trillionaire
the
energy.
top here.
I
The
see
top
it.
here, I guess. I'm sorry, the top here was probably the biggest one. Yeah, I mean that's. So now, if what we want to see over the next couple of days is to form support. So like this can probably go even higher and then come back, test this 8-cent level support. Because remember now, if I go back to this pool, we're going to be inside of here, which is the key. We want to be in there and we want to start trading inside of this box. We don't want to leave this box. We want to stay in here for a day, 2 days, and then work our way towards this upper edge as people, traders accumulate this new range, and then we can potentially break out. Any other kind of like enticing tweets that we get from Richard might even push it further. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well.
Well, that's what I want to ask you too. What happens now that we know when PulseChain is going to launch? What changes? What do we know now that can factor into decisions?
So the way I look at it is, again, here we are, big payday all over again. So now we have to look at potential resistance levels, because what do you think if you're RH right now, you're going to wait until we can get it as high as we can get it, in my mind. Give us 7 days, get it the price as high as. So man, I don't know. And then after the fork, I would expect a sell off. So, but you won't see a sell off till after the fork happens, right? So it's the ultimate squeeze. Like anybody that tries to play it the wrong way is going to get left behind, because there's nothing in these pools. If I refresh again, we'll see what we're sitting at. So we're still at 45 mil. Actually, this doesn't update instantly, so that might be why this isn't even giving me an update yet. We might need those 1 second updates, Crispy Man, if you're watching.
Oh, I haven't seen him in the chat, but could somebody alert Crispy Man? He could be helpful right now.
Let's go to this chart. Let's go to this chart and see what we got. So this is the uniswap.info website, right? Let's see, hex. Dang. TVL. This might give us an indicator. So we've seen this huge spike in TVL. So this spike in TVL it's USDC and ETH being put in the pools, and hex is getting taken out. That's what's happening here. Let's see, volume, 24-hour volume. Okay, our volumes are coming up too now. So these were sitting between 2 and 5 million for the 24-hour window for each one of these pools for days now. It's been a slow grind downwards and just not a lot of volume coming in. But now it's starting to flip the other way. Let's see. Dang, price is going higher, man. We're at 8.6 cents. So we could potentially go hit the top side at 10 cents any minute. That's how fast this is happening. Let's see on the 15-minute chart. Remember, this is where we're heading. 9.9 cents is the edge of the liquidity. We're only 15% away. So we want to see trading inside of these blue bands. So a lot of times you'll see price come up to the 10-cent level. A sell-off occurs. You create a bull flag, breakout potentially on anything that Richard says, potentially another bull flag, and then MAINNET's going to happen in 23 hours, and then you get this last leg up, potentially something like that. And it's so parabolic right now. It can really do anything. These volumes are insane. Like we had 400K, 400K, 800K, $1.5 million, $1.4 million. So we'll have to just see how this plays out. This is a good level here. This is a good level to pause in my mind, but I can't really predict what's going to happen here. The market's kind of going to decide.
Where does it go? And we're like, that's, we expect a dump afterwards. Like, where is that healthy range for it to go right now?
Let's see.
If we go to 20 cents, that doesn't seem sustainable. But
we'll use the good old fib retracement. Extend lines. Let's use one color so it's easier to read. All right, so the first level here is 14 cents. So the old high, right? But again, that's based on the Fibonacci levels, right? Is that it's saying, because look, we found support here and bounce off that wick, right? And then the candle formed on the new day, and now this can go over the next day or two, can go all the way up to 14-ish cents, which is near that high with 12.5, and on some charts it was 13.5. And then we also have to consult the famous fair value channel, right? That I coined. Let's go. Something like this. So, where's that put us at? Somewhere around, oh, funny enough, it's right around that 14.2 cents if it goes straight up. So I'm looking for the price to at least come up to here. No promises, but that's what it's looking like because we've already regained almost half the move, right? Off that low, you're up 66%. So what do you have to do to get there? Another 75%. You've already done half of it in 2 hours. So this shortage of coin is really what's going to put the pressure on those who want to chase. And traders love chasing this type of shit because this is confirmation in so many ways of a good trade. On this 15-minute, you look at the breakout, the bull flag. Look at that. Like that's a bull flag between these yellow channel, and then breakout. Bam, you're up. We're getting some good sell pressure coming in right now. Looks like 1.75 million, 1.725 million traded on this particular 15-minute candle. So this is like we'll see how this plays out. This is a doji. This is 15 minutes. This is really short time frame. So there's none of this shit holds a lot of weight when shit's going parabolic. But I just want to try to up to the second kind of explain what's going on. Remember, we're above 8 cents now, which is where our liquidity is sitting here. So this is what we're looking to trade inside of. If you fall back below 8 cents, you're back in like the super thin liquidity, and it's just as easy to push price back up because there's this gap here, right here, where there's just a little bit less to push it right back up into that. So I expect 8 cents to act like a magnet for now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think that we get above 10 cents, we come back down until liquidity resets, or do you think we could have or is it likely that people, when we run up maybe like if we, let's say 14 cents hits, do you think it's volatile, comes back down to find 10, or do you think that the providers plop something up there, catch it?
The first time that we come up, this is already showing signs of weakness here because this has been such a good run so quickly. So we'll see maybe if it gets like a spike down here, and then I anticipate someone's going to absorb it quickly, right? Anything that comes, this is like a confirmed breakout on the bull flag, right? So then to answer your question, when we do finally get to start form support above this level, in terms of the 14 cent level, what exactly was it again? And like how do we come back? Like when we hit 10 cents, the real question is, do we go right for it? Or do we wick? Remember, like we can get wicks like this, and we'll just be trapped underneath because there's no liquidity out there. You know, so nobody's going to want to buy this unless they have no other choice. They'd rather just let the sellers keep the price trapped between 8 and 10 and accumulate. So it'll be this back and forth where this will go down to 20 million, then back up to 50 million, then down to 20 million, back up to 50 million. It'll be like it becomes a trader's paradise because it becomes a very volatile range which can be traded. But then, yeah, so what we're going to need to see is full-on FOMO to push price above 10 cents, where people are buying at any price because they want it before the fork, or you just will get snapped out and you'll just come back and be trapped in here leading into the fork, and then that was when the sell-off would occur. So a couple different ways it can play out.
What are you guys going to be doing in the next 7 days?
Look at that. Look at this. These things are printing down and then they're printing right back up. Like this is in a really volatile range. It's like we're talking 2% moves. That's pretty big, man. Like these 0.2 of a cent. This is what Johnny Chaos always talks about, is how when the thing really starts to create a new value zone, like what in the future, like when we're trading, like just like how Bitcoin used to trade dollars a day, then it did tens of dollars a day, then it did hundreds of dollars a day, and then now thousands of dollars a day. The dream when it was at 3,200 in the basement of 2018, to see $10,000 moves in a week was like the dream, right? And I predicted that. And of course, it's not rocket science. It's how the decimal places move over time as the market matures and grows. And I expect to see that kind of thing as Hex really goes like viral, I guess. Where these tenths of a cent, they just don't matter anymore, and people are going to buy at any price.
I mean, even already we're recovered back up to like 8.2. We kind of crushed down to the bottom of 8. Now we're already moving back up. Like you're saying, that's crazy.
1 to 2 tenths of a penny is now happening constantly.
Yeah. Man, it's gonna be. You know, I'm realizing too. This is like a historic moment here. You know, when we caught it all on live stream. We're streaming. Richard Hart's tweet goes down. This is a pretty cool moment. Not gonna lie, that we all get to be a part of this.
Dude, what's the chance that we just did streams together,
Literally.
And now we're all
I was
together.
thinking about that.
on the moment.
Monday, me and Axis on Monday, you two yesterday, and us three today.
So
Amazing.
sick.
I know.
There are no accidents. You're just on time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Yeah, so I was asking earlier too. What are you guys doing for the next 7 days? Like, what is? I know graphics. I asked him maybe a half hour ago of like, what's changed? You know, kind of alluded that with you as well. But like, what are we going to be looking at the next 3 days, next 4 days? What should we be paying attention to? What are you guys going to be paying attention to?
Will you go first, Texas?
I was hoping maybe you'd take the lead on this one.
No way.
I mean,
No easy questions here. Okay, this is a special stream.
We're all going to be glued to Twitter, right?
Yeah. We're streaming a whole hell of a lot, making a whole lot of videos.
I was gonna be streaming every day. I said I got to cut it off like May 20th. Like, what is the last day that's not mid-May? The 20th, maybe. But I guess I don't have to worry about that now, as long as everything goes as the big man said.
May 17th or sooner, man.
May 17th.
Oh, we got a new Richard Hart tweet. What dis? Oh, he's flexing already. Nice.
Yeah, I saw that. 34% looks like.
I have to zoom in, man.
Yeah,
34. Yeah, not bad.
not bad. Those are rookie numbers. Need that.
This is a pump for ants still.
1,000,000%. Yes. Is this a candle for ants?
Exactly.
Yeah, let's see what. Well, hold on. Let's run a number. Let's run a fractal here just to get excited. So let's see, how big was this run up here? Like 135%. Yeah, that's nothing like this here. The only similarity I see is this is a doji, like equals double-sided Darth Maul doji, and this is kind of the same thing we had here. You see what I'm seeing there? Just a similarity in the type of print that we got on the candle.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a weekly chart, by the way. So it has more significance than, of course, a daily chart. And then the retracement, and then the attempted test and holding of the 200-day moving average. So let's just assume that we're going to get, let's make a lot of assumptions and dangerous calls here. Let's assume that we're going to get a similar thing. Well, then that would have us
25.
around 31 cents.
Woo!
We need to get above that upper channel. That's where I see trouble for the hex price. It's like that, like 14-cent level.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's trouble? Is it just because there's a bunch of sellers that live up there? You think?
PulseCHAIN sacrifice launch was around that level. So here we go, 15 cents. That's where the candle body's closed. It's also where this was support. It became resistance here, and then that's where we broke down from. So that's like the level in hex right now. Yeah, so this has been significant for us for how many days? 665 days. So it's been a long time we've been playing with that level. But yeah, no reason why we can't at least play with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the maddest of gains. So
how about that?
sticking true to it.
Who's tossing some money at the highest of stakes for the movie to come out? Sorry.
Is there a
loaded question?
Be a PulseCon thing, is there?
I don't think so. I think they're all right, guys, but who knows anymore? I'm kind of lost in the sauce on all that.
I really want to see it. I know they're like, everyone's just like, hey, just give it away. We don't care. We want to see it. I know how they're like, yeah, if you give it away, perceive value, blah, blah, blah. But I just want to see it. I just want everyone to see it. I want it to be the thing that we know it's going to be. I want that to manifest. Like, yeah.
I think Johnny
when is it going to happen? You need to see it.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Johnny's in the chat here. Telling you to check your Twitter.
Oh, you want to come on, Johnny?
The other thing too that I'm seeing here in terms of this fractal is like, look at the, if we play out like Big Payday all over again, this is literally that 10 cent and 8 cent consolidation for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in the past. Of course, we only have 7 days or less, so it'll be like super refined, super quick consolidation in this range. I got to keep updating my liquidity here to see kind of what we're sitting on, but
check the private chat too. Johnny dropped a link in the thing if you want to pull it up. Whenever after this, it could be fine.
7 p.m. time of post. Okay, yeah. So yeah, he's just, you know, reminding everybody that this is the power that Richard's tweets hold on the chart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get that wick, man. That was insane.
It is a nice reminder of how powerful just a simple tweet can be. You know, when the hype starts going, Richard gets active. Man, it's going to be wild to watch the next year and a half with all the action about to go on. If this is an hour after, hey, we're live in 7 days. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think this is like people trying to accumulate back something that's going to double right away and gives them leverage on the other side of the fork.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else you'd buy. You know, what else is going to hold value on that chain that you can get now? You could maybe think about SHIB or some other large ERC20 community, but generally I think Hex is the obvious play here. And so it's really just a mad dash to scoop up those coins before the fork.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're bang on with that. I wonder, you think we're gonna? I don't know what to say here. I feel like you think this was like a extremely timed. Well, how methodical do you think this was in terms of Richard Hart's tweet? You think it was like he knew exactly what would happen when he tweeted it out, and he has a strategy around it, or do you think he's just like, what? I would love to know what you guys think on that one. Like, was it so strategic? Was it strategic beyond belief, or was it just like, hey, I think this is actually a good idea? Let's see what happens.
What do you think, Max?
It doesn't seem to be anything like the last few days. It's been hovering around the same price. So I don't know if he's like, okay, this is good timing. I think it was just, hey, I think we got it. You know, talking graphics earlier, I speculated, he's, you know, all right, guys, our best dev says it's going to take 2 days. So I don't want to look like an asshole. Let's do 7 days and then give myself some breathing room in case something else needs polished. And then it happened. So I don't think he planned at, you know, when he tweeted it exactly for it to do that. It could have been yesterday, it could have been tomorrow. I just think that this is when he's got the confirmation. So I'm not sure he's because I guess why would it matter if he did it today versus tomorrow versus yesterday? I guess I'm missing that part to understand if he's actually timing the tweets, that kind of granularity.
No, I think it was just a matter of the strategy. So I think that he knew that if you stealth launch the product, there's no incentive to buy Hex on Ethereum anymore in terms of like getting the price to move. But he knew that if he gave you a runway, the airplane could take off because there's going to be a reason, right? It's a stock split, and the same thing happens in the stock market where like a company will announce a stock split, and the chart will base out and form support and then go higher. And this happened with Tesla last year when the price ran up like 50% leading into the stock split, and then there was a triple top, and then it sold off after the stock split. But it's just free money is what it is. So, and it's optionality. So like if you want exposure to these new coins, the new shiny objects on PulseChain, then your only way in is through the Hex, the universal conduit of value across both chains before the fork. And we'll see if that holds true after the fork. I think, you know, Johnny Chaos and others like myself believe that to be true. I think that this is the new, in the ERC20 world, in the EVM world, I think Hex is probably the best shot we have at recreating Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
It is the better Bitcoin. I tweeted at somebody, the one guy, David from used to be on the one show that interviewed Richard a couple times, David Lynn, and he said, what should I ask Macklow Taylor about? And I was like, ask him about the better Bitcoin, Hex. And that's what it is, man. You that's exactly what it is. However, I do have a hard stop in about 10 minutes.
Sounds good, man. This has been great.
Access, you can stay on if you want. We're just going to go through what stops people from getting rich in crypto. If you're interested in putting your thoughts on that, feel free to hang out.
Yeah, and then let's give away one of these books at the end. How about that?
Yes, another book giveaway. Let's do it. All right. Mad Gains Mindset. Let's rewind an hour. None of this ever happened. No, we can keep the chart up, or okay, you can take it down either way. Yeah, that's the only thing I think we should cover before we head off and all this stuff. What stop? Yeah, we'll go with access first. What stops people? Self-control, instant gratification, selling too early, not staking, being educated by the wrong people. How's the 99% of people
from mad gains?
Why does the 99% of people exist that don't get rich in crypto?
They don't know. They take risks on things that don't matter long term, and they flood themselves out. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? I'm trying to think. If I had to give the one thing, it's that they're not staying in the right thing long enough.
Graphics.
Beyond that, I mean, like, just think about it. It's like you can get flooded out of your bags. You can allocate too much capital into things that are already moving, and then you can sell a bottom. There's all these different situational things, but ultimately, like, if you find the right thing to buy and you just wait, like, that's the best way to get rich in crypto.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for one, haven't been rich in crypto, but the one thing that I see that has been a pattern that has been experiential for me is watching how much people just in this space, like you said, jump from thing to thing. They don't hold long enough. And I think, there's a part of it that's due to lack of knowing of what they're holding or why they're holding it, because a lot of people how many people do you guys know that when you're talking about crypto that maybe aren't in this ecosystem or necessarily in this space where you like talking about crypto and they're like, first thing they talk about is like, oh yeah, I threw $100 at like Floki shitcoin, whatever, like that's what everyone thinks crypto is. They're just trying to gamble and they don't understand that there's actual financial products that you can go into, So I think if people were actually educated and actually took the time to study and, even learn 10%, 20% about 20% of maybe a few core cryptos instead of just the surface level, like, will it go up? I think that would change everything. But I think that's a big lack for a lot of people of not really wanting to go the extra mile to learn.
Yeah, it's gambling. They treat it like gambling. If you treat it like gambling, you're not going to be investing. You're going to be playing the slot machine. You're going to lose a lot. You're going to have some fun, but you're going to lose a lot. Like, are you here to lose a lot? You're here to have fun, but lose a lot? I don't, that's not why I'm here. So, I think that's just the ability to see the bigger picture. And that's what I love about this ecosystem. Healthy games keeps you in playing healthy games. You got to play some game out there. There's some game you got to play if you want to get what you want. You want to get rich, you got to play some game to do that. Why not play the healthiest of games? Why not play the Richard Hart ecosystem games? That's the ones you want to play. You're going to have the best chance, the fairest, true DeFi, all that stuff that we always talk about. So it's always that tragedy I always have like in the back of my mind. Is like, I know a lot of people watching now, most of you aren't, like, even us, we can make mistakes too. I think, obviously we're not immune from making mistakes either. But I think if you give yourself the best chance to do it, at least in the end, if it doesn't work out or meteor hits or whatever happens, you can live with that. But if you're just gambling, you're just gambling.
Yeah, and I can tell you guys, like, I can give you guys a lesson for me of what hurt me the most in crypto. Out of everything I've ever done, it was that I had to sell too soon. Like, I'm okay admitting publicly that I've had to sell too soon. I went into Bitcoin and Ethereum mining. That came with a lot of overhead costs. And if I could have just held my coins and not had to sell them for overhead costs to stay in the rat race, I would have, if I could have just held the coins, I would have made it a lot better. And it was only because of Hex and being able to go in heavily around Big Payday before and after that I was able to recover from what I had lost in terms of potential gains that I had to sell to pay bills. So it's a balancing act of getting exposure to the things you want to and going in heavy at the lows, and then waiting and holding on and not having to sell. So just remember that.
That's a great lesson.
Yeah, is there something that we'll wrap up on this. One more question I'll pose. Is there something that you see people doing a lot of other than, selling too early and not controlling their emotions or this and that? Is there something people are doing that's so easy to fix if they just did this one thing? Like, is there like this click? Maybe you had it before, you had some deficiency that just made you so much better? Is there something that just people could just use and be like, if I just change this one thing, the sky will be a lot more blue as far as, success and wealth and delayed gratification goes?
Go ahead, brother.
Oh man. I think there's one thing. Oh man, that's such a tough question to put down to one thing. Yeah, give me a moment here.
Could be a couple things too. Just something like of substance.
I was thinking about it so hard that I actually lost the question. Can you repeat the question again?
Is there something that, no worries. Is there something that, you either seen in yourself or other people where you're like, if I just change, or they just change this one thing, they could be give themselves much better chance of being successful, in delayed gratification and crypto, and being successful and wealth creation.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I think that's the big one.
Boom. Yeah.
Not playing at all. The people who
not playing in crypto at all, you're obviously not going anywhere. Like unless you have other things going on in your life, there's an opportunity here to really level up multiple tiers all in like one cycle with crypto. So not playing the crypto game with at least a percentage of your stack is, in my mind, the biggest mistake, and not being open-minded and not following your gut. Like if you're, hopefully your gut's not saying crypto's a scam, because then you got a whole other host of spiritual and mental issues you got to deal with. But, being open-minded is probably a big one. And then, just be willing to take a shot.
No offense is not a good defense.
Yeah. I think the thing I've noticed most with no coiners, for example, on that topic is the lack of ambition and the lack of imagination. Like those two things combined are trouble. You cannot get into crypto if you don't have it. One, imagination, open-mindedness, as you mentioned, and two, the ability to want something. Like you want it. You want something more. You need to level up. You need to go into the next tier. You need to achieve that thing, which it may be financial freedom, maybe retirement, maybe whatever it is. If you're rich, maybe a lot of that doesn't matter to you anymore. But if you're it's got to be that timing, that part in your life where you need something. You need it like air to breathe. And then you'll do what it takes to get it. And you'll be open-minded and willing and ambitious enough to go into something such as crypto, which has a lot of risk, has a lot of reward. Asymmetric risk is what we're looking for that kind of glory. So that's what I see in a lot of no coiners I talk to. It's just, they just don't want to be a part of it because they just don't, their hopes aren't that high, I guess.
Yeah. It's unreal. Like a lot of these guys, they've never even seen a 10x in anything in their money. And so to them, it's unreal. And it's just crazy, man. Like it takes a lot to break through that, and just to think that it's possible. I know the road to crypto is a long road, very challenging, very confusing, and it takes years to really deeply understand this stuff. So I don't blame them. It's tough, but hopefully people are listening, because we've been out here talking about this crap for 3 years plus now.
100%.
I'll be talking every day for the next 7 days at least.
Let's go,
gentlemen. It's been let's go. Let's get this. It's time. It's time. Somebody meme all this, all these faces. We're doing it. Meme it if you want to. Por favor. Killer graphics. Axe is like, just meme me, just having no emotional response. That's me. It's good. I like it. Gentlemen, fantastic. I loved your all stream yesterday. Again, everyone, if you missed it, somehow all three of us have been connected very strongly in the last 3 days. It was Axis and Ju Young on Monday, and then yesterday it was these two gentlemen having a fantastic stream. I finished listening to it today. Loved it. Loved all the spiritual talk. Loved all the mindset. Loved all that. Really got me pumped up for this one with graphics. And then Axis could not stay away from us. He was drawn in. He just needed to be here. And we needed him to be here.
Clicked on the button, and then you guys were talking about me. I was like, oh, okay. Sure.
Nice.
It was like literally same time.
It's actually crazy how that stuff happens. It's actually crazy when that stuff happens. Just it's so synchronistic.
Go check out the lawoftime.org. If you haven't, go check that out. It's, the lawoftime.org.
Lawoftime.org. Okay.
Law of time. What? Okay. Doing that right now.
It's a deep dive, man. Like, good luck. You're going to lose a few years of your life figuring that one out too. You thought crypto was rough. Talk about a matrix that completely underlies all of creation.
Invest in longevity research to get those years back and live long and prosper. It's one mitigation for that. Oh, okay, wall of time. Guys, at cryptographics.com. Guy wrote a book. It's awesome. Go buy it.
You guys
Go
want to
smash all those buttons. Oh yeah. I forgot. Yeah, we're gonna give Axe's book away.
Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah. So
how are we gonna do it?
More of these to give away. So anybody got I don't know, you got a good question you want to ask somebody, and then
Do
whoever.
trivia?
Yeah, we can do a trivia.
Yeah.
That's the Cryptographics has an awesome one. I don't know. You got a good trivia question to ask everybody?
Good trivia question.
Good trivia
Okay. What is
Hold on.
Real quick.
First of all, this is The Power of Hex.
Yeah.
You know, this is a book written by Johannes Milton and Falk Sabel. They're two German guys that it's about 125 pages long, and it goes top to bottom, you know, in the introductory to crypto, how the price chart works, you know, price performance of Hex over time versus blue chips, you know, T-shares, how they work. So check this out. It's not out yet. It'll be coming out on Amazon soon, but we're going to give away a pre-release copy right now. So the rules of the trivia are RHMax. QU.
Yes. Just before graphics has it, hold that thought, graphics, just to tell everyone. So graphics is going to say a question, and the first person in the chat who gets the correct answer. So in the chat, type the answer. The first correct answer on my screen, nobody else's screen, just my screen. We've had some bandwidth, but I was first. No, whatever I see with my eyes on my screen, and I can verify with folks as well, is the first correct answer to the trivia question will win the book Axis given away. So that's how it works. Without further ado, Cryptographics, take it over.
How many shares is one hex worth currently? That's the
shares is one hex worth currently.
I got to look it up too.
Everyone put the correct answer, what you believe to be the correct answer, in the chat.
It's got to be exact too.
Got to be exact. We got some answers coming in. We got 27,000 ranges. White dog 27. See, I don't know the answer.
I know I can see it right now. I don't see it.
Is it somebody correct? Somebody get it in the chat.
I don't think that's right based on what I'm getting.
Okay. Graphics, you want to put the correct answer in the private chat just so I can help scan?
Yep. Let me see here.
Wow. Okay. Ooh. So how close should they be? Because I see one that's very.
Yeah, I think I see it.
Is it a joke though?
Consensus.
Let's see which one.
What it is.
You see in the private chat, Axis?
Oh wait, I was thinking total the T-share count per hex, right? That's what we're. No.
Yeah, elaborate just for the people again, just so we know, graphics.
What is in terms of? Okay, I'll say this a little more clear. Okay, when it comes to the T-share, how many shares is one hex? When it comes to the shares in the pool, when converted to T-shares, how many shares is a single hex worth?
Dude, that's so hard.
It's actually really easy. It's a very simple formula.
And the answer you put in the private chat is the answer, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Funny enough, I don't know. Does it need to be exact, like all those to the decimal, or is there a rounding?
I think we could take the rounding.
Yeah, if you get anywhere, let's go within. I don't know, 10%, 5%.
Okay. I don't see the correct answer. Guys, let me know if you see the correct answer. I have not.
I'd say if you get the first two numbers right, but the rest with the right number of digits is correct, and the first two numbers is correct.
Oh, I think I see it. I think Devin got it.
I don't see it in the chat. Where is it? Yep.
Oh. That is acceptable.
That is the one. Yep.
All right. We got a winner.
Let's go.
All right. Hex Devin. What's happening, Hex Devin?
Now,
you have
all
won.
the people that didn't figure it out, like myself, you want to explain?
Yes, please explain why it's not 27,000 or 27,000 was a popular answer.
Yeah, so it makes sense to go like that. But here's the thing. A T-share means a trillion shares. So in order to find out what one hex is worth in shares, you must divide a trillion by the number of hex it takes, and then you'll get the number of shares per hex.
So what is 27,000? Well, everyone keeps saying that.
Well, 27,000 is the T-share rate. So 27,149
right.
is the
That's what I
T-share
was
rate.
thinking.
Times a trillion, right? It would be, and then you divide that by total. Or no, I'm
Well-
just overcomplicating it.
It's just, well, a T-share is always a trillion shares
Yeah, got that.
divided
Yeah,
by.
do the math real quick.
Let me see here. I can show you here on, if I can share my screen. Let's go to Google.
Hot alpha right now.
All I've got, you do 1 trillion, the number of shares it takes in a T-share divided by the number of hex it takes to make a
Oh,
T-share.
there it is. Yeah. 1 trillion
Yeah,
divided
36.
by the T-share rate.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wow. You
Cool,
heard it
man.
here first.
So congratulations, Hex Devin. Put in your your Twitter handle so I can
Yes.
follow you back and I can get this thing shipped off.
X7, put that in. If you don't respond in 60 seconds at Axis Live on Twitter, ping him on there. Be like, I'm Hex Devin. And then, where's my book? Por favor. Yep. Hex Devin also explained. So I have a feeling he's still here.
Did I kill the vibe? Is that what I've been saying in chat? I thought it was a great question, man.
No, that's a good question.
Really
I
tough one.
thought it was good.
I thought you meant what's the T-shirt rate is what I thought.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I wasn't clear enough.
Everyone was excited about going to, buying the Lambo and going to Hexaco. And then you're like, do math, everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't the contract supposed to do
Great.
that for me?
It's a great question.
Oh,
Great question.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry.
So great. Neither one of us could figure out what it was on stream, even with all
Hex
the time in the
Devin,
world.
just reach out. Andrew. Oh, hey, I know who you are, brother.
There we go.
Smart man.
Andrew
Yep.
369. Oh, nice.
All right, I'll message you, brother.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Perfect.
Yeah, congrats, man.
Yeah, congrats, Hex Devin. Everyone else, now you learned something. Fantastic.
Yeah, we learned something new, man. Shout out to cryptographics.
Yeah. Hey, if you're not following cryptographics, you should be. He's got a lot of good stuff on this channel. And again, I watch. There's very few streamers that I watch to get information from. I'm not saying like because I'm so smart or whatever. I'm just saying like there's few people that I trust to. Like, it's a subtle one. It's a subtle. Let me be subtle. However, I do watch these two gentlemen because I trust the words coming out of their mouth and a lot of different range of topics, and I know I'm going to get some good stuff when I listen to them. So that's why. Anyways, everyone, I believe you. Believe in yourself, okay? No, I'm just kidding. Good play on your name, though. Everyone, I'm going to be streaming every day. That's not changing until May 17th, apparently. After that, it's going to be real sad if thing doesn't happen, and I probably will stream anyways until afterwards. But thank you all for coming. Mad Gains Mindset went from very, very Mad Gains Mindset to the world has got a lot more beautiful. And then Axis sent us home with some more Mad Gains Mindset. Remember, it doesn't matter how long you've been in the ecosystem. It matters the decisions you make while you're here. That's the Mad Gains Mindset. So can you do this? Can you do the same time as the stream, RHMax? Can you do the same time? What does that mean?
Tomorrow?
Same time. Oh, tomorrow? Actually, yeah. So, okay. I'll frame that as when do you normally stream? Yes. So around 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern, or 4 o'clock Pacific, or 7 o'clock Eastern is when I normally stream. And I've been doing 2 a day. So you never know now. I may do 3 days now that we know the PulseCHAIN's launching. No, I will not. That would be hard. Gentlemen, again, blessing to have you both with me. Thanks for jumping on, Axis. Always good to see you. And graphics, my man, we did it again. It's all good.
Appreciate
Another
you
one,
guys.
man. Yeah, thanks. It was sick to have you jump on Axis. Great to stream 2 days in a row. It was sick.
It's happening.
See you guys
It's happening,
soon.
everyone. Scivive and 5555. We are out.